Hello, and welcome back to another episode of ShareNet. My name is Ian. I'll be your host for today. And we're going to continue on with the topic of parenthood and disability. And today we have a very special guest, Dave Thomson. He is from RCD, and he's been with us for many years. And just to provide a little backstory for Dave, he's been living with a chronic illness for 22 years. And his illness is a neuromuscular disorder that creates symptoms that affected his muscle pain, spasms, fatigue, and weakness. It caused him to have all these things. And when we ask him questions regarding parenthood, he can tell you that significantly affected how he was able to care for his child. Now, sleep was also a difficulty for him because it was non-restorative and it was extreme fatigue for him. Sleep did not do anything. So he's also consistently uncomfortable because he has hypersensitive smell, noise, and also sensitivity to light. And there are other long-term cognitive challenges as well, such as brain fog and memory lapses. Dave's illness was very rapid. The onset came up when his child was about a year old. And in a period of about 6 months, he went from a 35-year-old father to a 75-year-old grandpa. So joining us today, I have Dave.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Dave. Thanks for sharing this experience. I'm hoping that our videos will be a record, a collection of stories and experiences that other parents with similar condition may find helpful. So I'm just gonna jump right into my very first question. So what was your first thought when you knew you're gonna be a parent?
Well, we had been trying for 5 years, so we were kind of like in the minors as it was to parents. We were all prepared. We had everything going, but then we hit a bit of a wall with fertility, so we had to go into that, and that was the fertility drugs ended up working. But so we were trained, we were ready to go. So it was just like, okay, finally.
So it's exciting, it's happy.
Oh yeah, because
Okay.
it had been a 5-year sort of.
Right.
Training for the Olympics kind of.
Right.
Doing everything, waiting, and nope, not this time, didn't get accepted, that sort of thing. Okay. So yeah, we were prepared. Everyone knew that we were doing it.
And at that moment, there's no indication of any kind of illness or any kind of disability involved,
No.
right?
It came on with a fall I had on my stairs.
Okay.
And we were breastfeeding, but we had this apartment that had a lot of stairs. And so my wife would be downstairs. I would have to go get stuff for her, come back down, and I slipped. And I went bouncing down the stairs on my tailbone.
Okay.
And that's where it set off a hereditary illness that I'd had.
Okay.
But that was the big trigger.
And that was when your son was 1 year old?
Yeah, like he was, he was 6 months, 7 months, sort of, and it took, for diagnosis and whatnot, took about a year and a half.
Okay. So now that must be quite dramatic for you, right?
Oh, yeah, like everything just, a wrench was thrown in because we had 5 years of planning and everything was perfect. We were planning on when people were going to, my wife was going to maybe take a little time off work and everything. And then all of a sudden,
right,
you've got this mystery illness. We don't know what it is. Can we have more kids? We had fertility issues. Should we have more kids? Because who knows? They thought I had Parkinson's. They thought I had MS. They thought I had all these different things. So there was a lot of serious questions and decisions that had to be sort of made.
So after learning about this disability, what was a way that you had to, I guess, adapt and evolve to come up with to support your child?
Well, we had to figure out, there was just certain things that I couldn't do. Like if I had to do them, I could. But if I did them consistently, that would wipe me out. So I couldn't get my son used to the fact that I was doing it. And because he was so young, you know, you see fathers throw their kids in the air and do those sort of rough housing and things like that. I couldn't do that.
Okay.
I could wrestle with him down on the ground because that was better for me. And so I had to get him used to those things.
Right.
But I couldn't do a lot of lifting and carrying and all those sort of things. And sometimes I had to ask strangers to help me in the park and things like that. So after a while, we got babysitters that would come out and do those activities so that those weren't different for him.
I see.
We wanted to keep him as much normalcy as possible, right? And I had to really pace myself and sort of really, there was just a lot of planning where you would just run out with a kid to the park. No, we couldn't do that. We had to go, okay, what's the weather? We'll do it at this time. And
what was the one biggest adjustment that you had to make?
Just, you know, really planning.
Right.
And you know, with kids, young kids, you're going all over the place. We had to think through those things that you would just run in and go. We had to think through what's the best time, when is he the best, when are you the best. So there's just everyday achievement, parental achievements were just like a military operation for us.
and already, even without a disability, parents need to prepare a lot of stuff. You know, you have that huge backpack full of supplies, spoons, scissors, and stuff like that. You know, all that stuff that you have to bring out as a day out for the child. It's a huge thing. And on top, now you have to plan according to your...
And it came a bit of a difficulty with my wife in the sense that it was almost like she had two children a lot of times, because she had so much management for me too. I was almost like a second child.
I see.
And because I forgot, did you turn the stove off? Oh, I can't remember. Did you, you know? Please don't forget the baby somewhere, right?
I see.
Because I really wasn't the person you wanted to leave with a small child at that time, right?
So now, I'm sure there are many challenges along the way. What was that one biggest challenge that you faced that, you know, got you scratching your head?
Just like I said, the normal things. Getting him to school was huge. I kindergarten. Oh wow. Oh, it's only half day, but it took me an hour just to get him to school.
Right.
So I ended up staying at the school a lot of times. I had to, and they'd wonder, why is Dave's dad sitting in the hallway? Because it was useless for me to go home for an hour and then have to try to come back.
Right.
And so we just did things a little differently.
Right.
And we had, and he just got used to it. We did a lot of reading because that was one thing I could do, right? There was just, we rode our bikes probably very early to school.
Okay.
The kids used to always see us.
So he's at the back, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he still had training wheels on when we were taking him.
Okay, so he was biking.
Yeah.
With
all
training
the way to
wheels.
school, yeah.
Okay.
And because that was one thing I could do, because I couldn't really drive, I would fall asleep and what else.
I was thinking of putting him like behind you, because some bikes they got like a
like
child.
the trailer. No,
Yeah.
no, he had his own bike, and but it was still training wheels.
Right.
And we had parents come up. I had parents come up to me sometimes and going, you know, I have to admit that I avoid you when I see you on the road. Like, why? Because my kids go, why can't we go to school on bikes like Dave's dad?
Right. Especially when
and I'm
so
not
young,
riding the bike.
That's good. Yeah, I got the other kids jealous for sure.
But my son was usually by May, and it would be rained on enough. He's like, why can't I get a ride to school like everyone else in a car?
Yes, that's true. Well, kids always want what they don't have.
Yeah.
What's the biggest achievement so far?
It comes back to I know a lot of people now through, you know, so many years with illness and some of the challenges that they had. I think I'm happy we kept him alive for 18 years. We got him through school. He did fairly well. He's been in university. He's moved out of the house. Okay. And we didn't incur a huge amount of debt doing that. And he hasn't got a huge amount of student debt. And I think that's a big achievement because it was really tough for a lot of people where, you know, our income was sort of cut by, you know, almost in half at some points. So being able to do that, we feel was pretty good. You know, he got out of the house, he's independent, he's working,
Absolutely. Yeah, it's huge, especially in Vancouver, Lower Mainland. Hello, look at everything around us. It's so expensive now, but it's good stuff. Good stuff, Dave. And my very last question, what sort of thing make your day as a parent?
Well, I differ from a lot of parents because where always the parents are like, oh, I just wish they'd stay this age, you know, and they're always like, oh, I don't want you to grow up. But I was really always anticipating and sort of those things that saw little, when I would see little things of what he'd be like next year, right. And oh, what's Andrew going to do when he has this coming up? I was always looking forward to that because each stage for me may be different with the progression of my illness as well. So I was always looking at it very much as I can't wait until we can do this, or I can't wait till we
can't wait till they grow up. Huh?
Yeah, and then my wife was like, no, I want to stay, you know, I don't want him to do that, you know.
Yeah, I think I'm just like you, just another 15 years for me to go.
Yeah, and I was always really looking forward to those milestones and when they would pass and what the next one would look like.
Absolutely. Awesome, folks. Thanks for joining us today for another episode of ShareNet. And next week we'll be back to have another interview with someone with lived experience. And for now, this is all we have today. Thanks, Dave.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one all. See you next week.